So, the topic in Game Theory Assignment 2 in Tangential Learning and Therapy through Motivations is the uses of virtual simulation in mental therapy. Now, can a game be a therapeutic solution to the issue? In my opinion, absolutely yes. Simulation has always been a part of our global history since the 20th centuries, and there have been certain examples in World War I that have been dated back since 1915 in the British Army. The famed mechanical wooden horse simulator was used to train new recruits in order to ride horses. Now, it's been a huge leap since those mechanical horses have been developed toward the current and present age. We've made many major technological advancements, and so much of the technology that has been introduced um, into this world is fairly recent and new. With virtual simulation, uh, the ideal the ideal of it is being part of the simulation. Since this concept has always been there in the beginning, the current century uses virtual reality goggles and headphones in order to enhance the individual's senses toward the simulation. As again I said, since it's fairly new and recent, there have been a few noted major health hazards that come to mind, such as the straining on the physical body and the mentality of the individual, and also the content that could influence the individual's perspective in a negative way, such as goriness or isolation from society. Um, Things like these can affect the individuals, but they can be addressed in a solution where it is fairly simple. Um, what type of game uh, could best suit this to provide therapy? In all honesty, a lot of almost all the games that exclude mature content can really be used as a type of game in order to introduce this method of therapy. Um, Games such as the Star Wars series, or even uh, spaceship games like the Elite Dangerous in first person, would absolutely be amazing for players to interact with, and also for people to really just get that different aspect and feel of the game. And there's also like other games such as different genres in fantasy, like the D&D campaigns, or even the Elder Scrolls series, or even the Final Fantasy series for those fans out there. And strategy games with a third person and top down view, or even first person perspective, like the StarCraft and Warcraft RTS series, or the multiplayer online battle arena series with League of Legends or Dota 2. Now, mostly the main game type that I would really focus on would be first person shooters, not because of the content, but because of the aspect of simulation. Um, the reason why I would mostly choose first person shooters is the fact that it's very it's a big hit in the gaming industry, and it's also been well known to be played, such as Battlefield, or even the Battlefront series, or even the Halo series and the Call of Duty series as well. Those type of games would definitely bring in a lot of interest um, throughout society, and it would definitely bring in people to start experiencing that type of simulation. Provided that the goriness and the violence in the game is reduced a little bit, so that kids are able to manage and are able to play it as a sense of not providing them with shock and trauma. Other games such as puzzle and trivia games such as the Portal series or the first person Zuma would absolutely be fun for all ages, since it really gets the mind going, and it also interacts and lets the player think of turns ahead. Um, Also, you can even include creative games such as Spore, where you can create your own type of creature, or even have an art simulator, which is included in the virtual reality industry known as Tiltbrush. Um, of course, a lot for the kids in general that have like the great hits, such as Mario series, um, Pokemon, Disney Infinity, Skylanders, would be excellent choices uh, in terms of gameplay for the children. And it would also really bring a new experience if those games were put into an aspect or perspective of first person. Um, Also, in response to the parents regarding about how this could influence isolation towards the society, there would also be a feature enabled for online gameplay so that other children or other patients that are within the facility can connect online throughout the servers, and they can communicate and share their experiences with others who are also in recovery and who could possibly be dealing with the same issue as well. Now, what game-related hardware would best suit this issue as a form of therapy? Now, definitely, since this is going to be a virtual simulation, I really want to focus on virtual reality hardware such as the Oculus Rift headset or the HTC Vive bundle. Now, they have been tested out already and they've already been released as Kickstarter projects. They've been engineered to be ergonomically friendly for users, so the brightness of the screen wouldn't damage the retinas in your eyes, and also the output of the volume wouldn't damage your eardrums as well. Regarding towards the question that most people will ask, why virtual reality? Well, it's simple. Uh, if you stimulate 2 out of 5 senses in the human body, you're essentially allowing your brain to cognitively function. In other words, you're exercising it. Now, since this is a type of exercise that you're um, implementing on the person, it is a method of sensory therapy as well. This allows the user to strengthen their neural connections through between these receptors of the neurons and the brain, and it also this is also a type of therapy that really that it actually exists for other individuals. It's known as virtual reality emergence therapy, and it's used for individuals who suffer from anxiety attacks and phobia disorders. Um, those who really require this type of therapy are normally recovering from a surgery, trauma, or even aging, or they could just be doing this as a sense of improving themselves. Um, Now, it comes to this question of understanding that therapy, that the method of therapy relies heavily on intrinsic and extrinsic motivations, and which elements would I use, how, and why. Um, in intrinsic, the elements that I would personally use would be personal rewarding through engaging in behavior. And the reason why I believe that would benefit my idea is that I would want the individuals to become interested and involved my with my method of therapy. And I want them not only to go through that therapy, but I also want them to just experience and enjoy mostly 100% of the gameplay so that the feedback and the results of the recovery would be phenomenal and definitely exceed than just as a regular routine recovery that they are implementing currently at hospitals. Um, with this type of element, I really wanted to approach through perspective rather than content. Um, and what I mean by perspective is I want them to have that virtual simulation. I want them to have that feel of being within the game. Rather than experiencing the content itself, I want them to be involved. I want them to feel that they're needed within the game. Um, I also believe that most gamers in general would really have a positive feedback if they really had the ladder of games, video games in general, to have be displayed in a first person's perspective. That would definitely be a positive feedback, and um, it would definitely influence a lot of individuals in a very positive way. If there have been great results coming from that therapy. Um, for extrinsic elements, I would use a system of gaining a reward, and also a gaining of or avoiding um, an consequence. Um, Now, the system that I'm going for is a point system, and this point system is really meant for a virtual shop that's going to be implemented as a mechanic within the hardware. Within this virtual reality system, I want the players or the individuals themselves to have a good amount of hours of gameplay in order to relieve that stress and also to recover at the same time. But at the same time, I also want them to take breaks. Now, before I get on to that, the point shop system that I mentioned earlier, um, here is what I would say would be an example. If you progress throughout one game, you earn points based on how much you've gone through. And with those obtained points, you are now able to purchase items for your avatar, or even buy or unlock new games for yourself in order to experience more. Um, Now, since the issue with that is the amount of gameplay, I've also implemented another system where it would balance the time between rest and the time between gaming. The hardware would lock itself up and create a temporary quick save of the individual's progress. Exact location, exact time, everything is a perfect save. So once they log back in, um, they would have that progress saved exactly where they were. Now, since this is a balance time, that hardware, after that quick save, the hardware will lock itself, and it would it would have a time where that individual has to rest. And in order for the person to go back into the hardware, they need to go through um, a system check where there's cameras behind the screen of the virtual hardware, and those cameras scan the individual's eyes, especially the retinas, and determine through the dilation and the condition of the eyes of whether they've rested or not. Once that has been determined, then the hardware will unlock itself, and then the player will have access back to the temporary quick save. Now, with this entire idea of virtual simulation and through mental therapy, I really hope that if this ever comes into reality, that it is used to enhance phenomenally for in terms of recovery for the individuals that are normally hospitalized for a long term. And this is not only to recover it, but it is also to encourage them and to boost their confidence at the same time. Um, since this is really a great way for gaming as well as um, uh, society to really interact with each other, I feel like it's a great chance that for us to find out as a whole, as a community, in order to work on and also to better ourselves for the future. Thank you for taking your time to tune in, and my name is Aaron Lee. I'm signing out.